From the heart of Bulldog Country, this is Sports Central on Bulldog Sports TV, brought to you by Harrison County Community Hospital. We're your weekly home for in-depth coverage, highlights, and insider insight on everything South Harrison Bulldogs. Whether it's game-winning moments or what's coming up next, Sports Central is your front row seat to it all. It's time to break it down, fire it up, and celebrate Bulldog pride like never before. Let's join your host, CF Rainey and Andrew Sweat.
All right, welcome into another week of Sports Central here on Bulldog Sports TV, sponsored by Harrison County Community Hospital. Joined once again with Andrew Sweat along beside me. And so, Andrew, we'll just kind of jump into things. We're winding down the fall seasons. Golf made their way to state. Volleyball bowed out in the second round of districts. Softball will pick up there because last we talked, softball was heading to Springfield for state competition, and they go down and get a 16-0 win in the semifinal over Montgomery County. So play in the state championship on Saturday, which obviously that's always the goal, try to get to that state championship. And they go up against a good Holden team who they had lost to earlier in the season. Lose that one 4-1, so finish second in state. And I'm sure there was some disappointment on that day amongst the team and fans. But man, to get all the way there, not only to get to Springfield for the Final Four, but to make it to the championship game, such a huge accomplishment for that team. And really hats off to Coach Aaron Fitzpatrick and his staff and all the players. They end up 26-11 on the season. So just a great year. I never had that experience. I know you never had that experience as far as making it to a state championship, and so just an awesome season for them.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and yeah, hats off to all the girls, and losing a lot of seniors and everything, but they would have liked to win the state championship at the end, but yeah, like you said, just making it there is a heck of a goal, and that was their goal at the end of the year, to make the state championship, because that's where they fell short. Obviously, they were there a couple years ago, but fall short at the end. A good Holden team, but nothing to hang your hats about. It was for South Harrison. That's a big deal.
No, it's huge, and just the opportunity to make it to that platform is awesome. And so now we're down to one final fall sport still going on, and that's football. And South Harrison won their first district matchup versus Lathrop, 41-0. And Andrew, we called it there on Mission TV, and it was really just all South Harrison almost from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been talking all season, South Harrison's been this dominant team, but they haven't quite put out like a perfect performance yet. I'd say that was probably it right there. A pretty solid Lathrop team. They had some good size and everything. And their schedule was a bit harder than ours was, but shut out first round of the districts. Looks like we're playing our best football at the right time of the year. So just really overall impressed by everything they did, offense and defense.
No, and it's one of those we talked about, getting their first shutout of the year. They've held a number of teams to just one score, but to get that shutout's huge. And it's always interesting. I'm trying to, without looking at our stats or anything, go back. I can only think of one drive that South Harrison didn't score, and that they got a holding penalty that kind of threw them back there in the ball game as they were heading north to south. And so just the ability to come out, really do what they want to do. They didn't put the ball in the air very often that night, South Harrison, but if you can run the ball like they can, especially with that two-headed monster at running back with Cray Coffey and Mason Galloway, and Jet Cornett calling the plays, taking the snaps, handing it off. That makes it easy for a team if you can grind it out on the ground.
Yeah, they did exactly what they wanted to do. And like you said, they didn't have to go to the pass game. This isn't a pass-first team. Obviously, if we can dominate on the ground, we're not going to stop doing that. It'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about the game coming up here in a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see how we move from a blowout win in the first round to a road game at a much tougher opponent, I would say. So this is definitely a big week in the second round of the districts.
Yeah, and it's one of those. So South Harrison will be playing at Cameron after Cameron had a blowout win versus Trenton, which I think we all thought that Cameron would probably win that game. and Trenton ends their season. So Cameron moves on. And Cameron, Andrew, you and I have talked about it. They're a hard team to figure out. Number one, they're a 2A school, but I don't think up until last week they had played a 2A game. They had
Yeah.
played 3A, 4A, and I think maybe even one 5A team throughout the season. And so
Yeah.
while their record isn't great, um, they're obviously a good football team, and it's one of the, I think, a great unknown for you and I, especially, and probably most South Harrison fans going in, what Cameron will be. We obviously
Yeah.
know they're a much larger school, and so usually that makes some sort of difference. But I guess we'll see when we get there on Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cameron's a team that we don't play a whole lot because, like you said, they're a much bigger school. It is interesting. They're in Class Two, and we have to face them. I'm not sure how that worked out, but yeah, just kind of looking at their schedule. I mean, like you said, they played like Warrensburg, Chillicothe, Maryville, Savannah, some of the St. Joe schools, University Academy. They're on a 3-game win streak, actually, or excuse me, a 4-game win streak if you're counting the Trenton game last week. But some of those losses, like I said, are Maryville, Savannah, Warrensburg. So tough schools, but they didn't really put up much of a fight in those games. So that's a little bit good thing to look at. The score in the Savannah game was 47-6. So kind of a blowout loss makes you a bit comfortable, but definitely a tougher strength of schedule than South Harrison has seen this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up.
Yeah, and it's one of those. The only one you and I talked about just before we went live, Lafayette. There, it wasn't a common opponent, but Lafayette also played Maysville, which is a common opponent to South Harrison. That was really
Mm,
the only crossover we could find, and it still doesn't
yeah,
tell us any. It still really doesn't tell us
yeah,
anything about what Cameron will be. I did talk to Coach Chris Schoening earlier in the week, and that interview will be on Friday. But he said, they're a team that likes to run it. They run out of a wing set, so kind of similar to South Harrison. He said they have a fullback that's similar in stature to a Cray Coffee. And he did mention, I've talked to a couple of the assistants this week. They're a very physical team. Just watching them on
really,
tape, they're a physical team. But I think that matches up with South Harrison.
yeah,
That's who we've been. The Bulldogs have been all season long, right? Punch you in the mouth, run it downhill. Good size offensive line, good size defensive line. So I think it should be an interesting matchup between those two teams, and whoever can come out on top with those running games, I think.
yeah. And if you're South Harrison, you're gonna have to play your best football of the year regardless of the team you're playing. You're one game away from making the district championship and playing in that. And you're in probably a tough road environment at Cameron. Probably have a rowdy student section. And I guarantee their coach is saying the same thing about South Harrison. This is a gritty, tough-nosed football team. We got to play our toughest football of the year. And I think at the end of the day, the team that shows up tougher is going to win on Friday night.
Yeah, I think the more physical team, uh,
Yeah.
and the big things, and it's in any football game, turnovers and penalties, and especially those costly 10-yard penalties on offense. That was the only time South Harrison got bogged down was after that holding penalty. I'm trying to think back. Andrew, did you win a state or a district championship when you were in school?
Yep. So we beat Putnam County my senior year, and then next round we played at Midbuck and lost that one. So
And so that I think in just looking
I
back,
think that's
that's
the
the
last
last,
time.
yeah, last
Yep.
district championship South Harrison's had.
2019.
Yeah, so looking at the top 10 in the Missouri Coaching Association, uh, all these teams are still alive, but you see Mid Buchanan, who's on the other side of the bracket in our district, in at number 3. Blair
They're
Oaks
9 and
is,
0, I believe.
yeah, Blair Oaks number 1, Warsaw 2, then Mid Buchanan. South Harrison in at number 7. And then Lawson, who's on the other side of the bracket playing mid-buck,
Mhm.
is in at number 11. Cameron not in there, but you and I, again, were talking about it. Probably just got overlooked based on if you're statewide coming up with a poll, you look at their win-loss record and you don't think they're probably very good. You don't realize, again,
Yeah.
their strength of schedule and what they had. And so if you're South Harrison, Andrew, you want to come out, establish the run. Uh, but I think it's also one of those games you don't hold anything back, right? If you've got something up your sleeve, trick plays, maybe even putting the ball in the air a little more. I haven't checked the forecast, but we've had definitely nicer weather this week than we had a week ago.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so, South Harrison, it looks like Friday during the day, mid to upper 60s, and then into the 40s and 50s of an evening. So
Good
as long
football.
as there's no strong wind, should be good football weather, and the opportunity to play for a district championship against the winner of that Mid-Buck Lawson game, excuse me. And real quick, I want to switch over here, and so Andrew and I will be broadcasting on Misha TV, and so we'll put that information out tomorrow and put it again on Friday. So it won't be
Hopefully, Mission
here.
TV can
Yeah, we had
work
so
with us
we
this time.
I've done Misha TV 3 times, and there's been technical difficulties twice. I emailed them and spoke to customer service with Misha TV, and then the company that does the broadcasting. Uh, they told me that there shouldn't have been a problem, but we've had it. So we're believing we'll try to get on maybe a little early, and we can throw some commercials and extra pregame in just to make sure we can get there for kickoff. But that'll be on Misha TV, so it will be pay-per-view. Misha makes anything that's postseason pay-per-view, so we'll get that started. But Andrew, if you're South Harrison, right, same game plan that has worked throughout the season is what we're probably looking at Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. It's worked for you all year long. Um, and, really looking back in the game we did lose against Putnam County, what happened? There was big mistakes, and, we couldn't really grab the momentum back. That's the big thing. You're going to make mistakes. Not every game's going to be like a Lathrop game or anything like that, especially when you're playing a tough team like this. So you're going to make mistakes, but you have to be able to, just carry on with the next play and not make it a habit at the end of the day and beat yourself. South Harrison, really good football team this year. I think if they just, feed Coffee, Galloway, and the occasional, like you said, trick play. I played under Chris Shoney, and the play was always the halfback pass. So hopefully no Cameron people are listening to this, but we could see that on Friday night.
And it's one of those, not that you wanted it, and I'm just kind of going back here, but that Gallatin game, South Harrison ended up winning at 30-10. But the way that started, uh, giving up the ball twice on special teams, Gallatin
Yeah,
scoring, getting
remember
ahead
that.
early, that might be a game that South Harrison can use if they get down early against Cameron to say, hey, we've been
Yeah.
in this situation before. We've got the ability to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are going to make big mistakes, maybe do it in the first quarter and not late
Yeah.
in the fourth quarter. South Harrison, they're very resilient, so and they have a really experienced leadership. So, like you said, yeah, you should be able to. We've been through this before. We can get back on our feet and make something out of this.
All right. So Andrew will be with me Friday night on the call on Misha TV. Again, we'll put all that information out the next couple days. We'll link to it on Friday so you can get to the pay-per-view. We're believing we'll no hiccups on Friday, but we'll be there and be on. So we appreciate you tuning in here to Sports Central, again sponsored by Harrison County Community Hospital. We appreciate all of our sponsors throughout the season, and getting ready to finish up the fall and start with basketball and wrestling coming up. And we put some information about that on a few days ago. And so we will sign off tonight and see you Friday.